I call David Clendon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ke te mihi o te rā kia koutou. And may I also acknowledge, as others have, the representatives of ngā iwi o te Hiku who are in the gallery, albeit I cannot see them, but and like the Minister, I do look forward to the day of the third reading, when I suspect it'll be standing room only and even fuller than that in the gallery when we do finally resolve this, this very difficult, very complex settlement. I'm very pleased to take a call to support this bill with considerable enthusiasm. It's a large bill, it's a complex bill. It deals with the overlapping and no doubt on occasion conflicting interests and claims of multiple hapu and iwi. And it's clear that the Minister, the OTS, the Select Committee are to be congratulated on having brought matters to the point where we can have the second reading and to indicate that there is considerable opportunity to progress this matter. So the particular issue that's been mentioned already about the relatively small piece of land in Kohukohu that is to some extent disputed between Te Raroa and Te Uhutai. The fact that the matter has been resolved essentially based on trust, I think, is indicative of the quality of the negotiation that underpins this bill. Because if trust is built and maintained, trustworthiness and mana go hand in hand. And if we can negotiate in good faith and get outcomes based on trust and mutual respect, those are the agreements, those are the settlements that will endure over time. So as is the case for these bills, there is of course commercial redress, and there is also an apology from the Crown for the multiple breaches of the treaty that occurred virtually from day one after the treaty, right through 19th and into the 20th century. And I think it's important to acknowledge that the harm done by those breaches takes a long time to heal. I believe the disadvantage experienced to this day by Māori communities in the north can be sheeted back to a large extent directly to the harm done in the course of the 19th and 20th century breaches. The loss of the economic base for iwi and hapu, the loss of the cultural knowledge, of the language, of the separation from mana whenua. All of these, I believe, are attributable, or rather the disadvantage still experienced by Māori in the north, and indeed the inability to realise the potential of the society generally, the communities of Māori and Pākehā, can be sheeted home to some of the breaches of the 19th and early 20th century. So to the extent that these bills contribute to resolving that, they open up the opportunity to realise that potential. So I routinely visit schools around the north. You see those kids who are growing up in some pretty tough social and economic environments, but you also see the potential in releasing, returning some of the resource to iwi and hapu will contribute, I think, to making sure those kids have a better future. And for that reason alone, I think these bills would be worthy of support. As again has been noted, that one of the provisions of the bill establishes Te Oniroa Atohi Board, a permanent joint committee, equal numbers of local councillors and representatives of Te Hiku iwi, responsible for preparing a beach management plan. And I think that's a very promising step forward. It is unfortunate, as others have also noted, that inevitably perhaps has resulted in some outcry, and one that does concern me. An elected councillor who arguably should know better has come up with the notion, and I quote, that this board effectively giving responsibility for management of the beach to iwi would likely see public access restricted, and not only on 90 Mile Beach. And goes on to complain about the fact that Ngāti Kuri apparently are benefiting financially from the transition of tour buses up and down Te Paki Stream. I mean, wouldn't that be a terrible thing if people with a long and enduring right to that site were getting some financial benefit from a commercial operation using their land? I fail to see the indignity in that, I have to say. It's unfortunate that this councillor chooses to see that the management of the beach ought to be retained by council, by community board, with no engagement with the iwi. And I think it's a very short-sighted, very narrow view, and I hope it's a view that over time we'll see much less of. I think the management plan is a wonderful opportunity to take a very hard look at the ecology of that beach, because we know it has been degraded in terms of the kaimoana, the tohiroa particularly, and that has to be sheeted home to mismanagement, overuse of the beach, certainly the impact of vehicles on the beach. And I do think that a survey of the beach that combined Mātauranga Māori knowledge and understanding built up over generations of time, allied on an equal footing with Western science, I think we could find a position there where we can restore that beach to the point where a size 13 toiroa, you would walk past that to get a big one. So here we look forward to that day. Sir, I do think... Indeed, yes. I don't think it'll get as far as a freezer either. Sir, it is good to note too that the commentary made by some rather short-sighted people has been opposed also in the local papers and in comments around the place. In one comment noted that in 1957, some muri whenua rangatira took a claim as far back as then, noting the degraded condition of the beach and the fact that it was no longer had the richness either ecologically or culturally that it once had. So these things take a long time to come round, but ultimately good sense and common sense will prevail. So I'd also note the establishment of Te Hiku o Te Ika Conservation Board, again a co-governance board that will look to the management of the governance, in fact, of the conservation land in the area. And I do think that's a very positive. I do like seeing that word co-governance. Co-management's a fine thing, but it's important that iwi and hapu are represented alongside other interests at the decision-making point, not just at the management or the point of implementation. So I do think that's a very positive step, one we commend, and we look forward to seeing that produce very good outcomes over time. The final comment I'd make is again to acknowledge the return to or rather the assigning of official geographic names that reflect the traditional names. Dare I say it, the real names of some of those places. And we heard a very eloquent contribution from Kelvin Davis about the significance of Te Oneiroa Atohi. The fact that inevitably, I mean, once one understands what these names represent, it gives an incredible richness to the people living there today. Dare I say it, not only culturally, both Māori and Pākehā, but economically. In my own experience with the tourism industry, it is utterly compelling for visitors to the north and elsewhere if the names are explained to them to the extent that they do reflect an extraordinary history, some remarkable people, the actions of those people in their time. It does give a unique quality and flavour to the experience of the manuhiri, and that's something that we do seek to, not only for the economic benefit, but not least of all for that, it has to be said. There is enormous potential there to reveal the richness of the past, present, and indeed of the future of Northland. And on that note, I think, sir, I will bring that to an end and look forward to the third reading. Kia ora.
Peter Para.